Thank you so much, sir. And thank you to all of you for coming over here. This session is dedicated to natural colorant, a colorant that is really a need of our at this time when the world is talking about sustainability. And when we are talking about sustainability, it's not just colorant, but about the processing also. So in this presentation, what we focus is how we can make even our processing more sustainable. Yeah, of course, natural dyes and the recycled colors, as the previous speaker said about, is a wonderful idea. But making them further eco-friendly, further sustainable if the processing is becoming even more efficient, even more eco-friendly. As we all understand, that textile wet processing consumes a lot of heat energy. And heat energy is something which is coming out of the fossil fuel, and many other natural resources are being burned on this. And when these natural resources are burned, that is also a big concern of the industry overall. And the world is worried about the burning off of the natural resources just for the fuel purposes. And then it is converted into textile where the heat is being used, and that heat is causing further problems in various ways that we will see into this particular presentation. As AMA, we specialize in natural colorant, and probably we are the first company to commercialize it to a level where the industrial uses are possible with the natural dyes in various kind of applications, and it is successfully commercialized, and when many people all over the world are using it. To make our dyes, we have done several modifications to our dyeing systems. Earlier, when we got into this industry, the natural dyes used to take 2-3 days to dye one shade. 2-3 days. We reduced this process to 4 to 5 hours. Now the further challenges were there, so we decided to work on that, and now we have innovated a process where we don't need a heat in the dyeing process. If we see the impacts of the heat, a lot of green gases are produced from the chemical processing all over. And of course, the dyes are defined in various chromophores or various atomic sizes, and the way that we define the dye stuff is acid dyes, basic dyes, direct dye, and several other dyes. And all these dye stuffs have different applications, but all of them require temperature. Because if we don't give temperature, the fixation of dye stuff doesn't happen. It will go fast to the fabric, but it will come out fast from the fabric. For the fixation, we have to give a duration, and that duration with the temperature, it requires a lot of heat. And that heat energy, when we consume a fossil fuel, or we consume some sort of a fuel, which is something required for some better ways, or some natural resources are being burned off, which is not something good for the environment. And as a result of it, the chemical processing with reactive dye or other dyes produces a lot of carbon footprints. And these carbon footprints has been a major concern for the textile industry. So apart from being natural dyes, we are focusing on saving of carbon footprint from the processing. And if we see from the sustainable point of view, we have a huge series of operations which are happening from the textile processing industry, right from the cotton collection to the ginning, to the milling, to the yarn conversion of it as a spinning, and then to make it as a fabric, and then do dyeing. And there are several other mechanical processes that are involved. And every mechanical process involves energy. Of course, that all require separate focuses and work on to. But as we are dye stuff manufacturer, we focus on the dyeing part, processing part of it, though we understand that it's just 10% of the whole processing, and the consumption of whatever energy we consume from the starting from the cotton to the end product. This may be just 10% of it, but this is something which is very, very important, and that's what we have worked out, so that the carbon footprint from the processing area can be reduced in particular dyeing. We have redefined the process of dyeing with natural dyes. Natural dyes earlier when we started were seen as a problem child because they were consuming a lot of modern ting, and that modern ting was happening with the metals. Ferrous sulfate, aluminum sulfate, copper sulfate, potassium dichromate were the main minerals which were used in the dyeing with natural dyes. And they were going in effluent, and they were creating several kind of problems in the effluent. So we used to face these problems. So we had to filter off these moderns from the natural dyeing. So we did it successfully. And at the same time, we also faced this problem of harming the nature with the heat that we focused on to. So we decided, and we used, and we successfully implemented the catonization process of the dyeing. We first do the cotton, we first catonize the cotton in our first bath, and after the catonization, we do the dyeing. So the affinity of dye towards the fiber, which the moderns were creating, we do it by catonization process. And this catonization, the auxiliaries that we are using are also bio-based. So it also reduces the carbon footprint to a very large extent. And at the same time, the dyeing performances are good. The products so made are having 3 to 4 fastness, which is the required level and which is the acceptable level on the ISO standards. Here is the process of dyeing. As you can see, all the temperatures are at room temperature, which we have taken as a 30-degree temperature or 25-degree temperature. Yeah, of course, if somebody is having a temperature of 4 or 5, then you have to take it to 20, 25 at least, so that at least it becomes a receivable energy level, receivable temperature level. So the first processing is with the Veggie Plus and Veggie Set, which are our auxiliaries for the ketonizing purposes. And their process time is just 15 minutes, then you have to wash off, rinse off. Then the dye comes in, and dye comes with a dispersing agent, which is also a veggie-based, bio-based product. So you have to do the dispersion, and then you have to add just a little bit of a soda ash. It's not like huge percentages of soda ash used in the reactive dye industry. It's just 1%, and that is just to give it a better fixation onto the dye stuff. Then you do washing. Everything is happening at the room temperature. Then you have soaping, and so after soaping you have a fixation. So all the processing is having at a room temperature. And if you see as a comparison with the reactive dye, so you have to take the temperature to 90 degrees, you have to hold it for 50-60 minutes, and so on. There are several stages where you have to take the steps to rise the temperature, bring it down, rise the temperature, bring it down. And as a result, if you see in the several stages of the dyeing, starting from the pre-treatment to the hot rinse to the neutralization, soaping, etc., etc., this all generates about 8,990 kilojoules of energy. That's a huge number. In just dyeing of 10 kgs of cotton, you're consuming 87,990 kilojoules of energy. And when it is converted into carbon footprints, it generates about 5.69 kilos of carbon footprint, which is sounding small in number, but 10 kg is not a dye house size. Dye house sizes are much larger. It can be in 5 ton or 10 ton or 20 tons in a day. So if you go with that number, you see how much you do. If dyeing of 10 kg produces carbon dioxide by 5.69 kgs, dyeing of 10 metric tons in a day causes 5,690 kilos of kilojoules. And if when such kind of a dye house is running 360 days in a year, it produces more than 2 million carbon footprints every year. 2 million kilos of carbon footprint every year, which is really, really an alarming situation. And now with the natural dyes converted with this particular process, you can save this much of a carbon footprint, and you do whatever life cycle analysis and whatever you do, you will find this product much positive and much greener and sustainable in your textile processing. Apart from this, as a natural dye, it's a complete sustainable model. And when I say sustainable model, sustainability is based on 3 spheres. We call it like planet, people, and profit, where we focus on environment, economy, and society. So we talk of the environment first, so carbon footprint saving you have seen already. And from the economy point of view, we focus our sources of raw materials are from 3 different kinds. First is best of the waste. When I say best of the waste, for example, we have a pomegranate fruit rind. Pomegranate fruit rind is something which is a waste. Everybody cultivate fruit for the seeds of pomegranate, for the juice of pomegranate. Nobody cultivate it for the rind. Rind is thrown off otherwise. We collect that rind and we convert it into dye stuff industry. Similarly, there is an industry called shellac. Shellac is an insect that is actually extracted to make shellac. Shellac is basically a product which is used in the tablet coating, in the food product coating for making it hygroscopic, non-hygroscopic, and also in the hair styling gel and shoe polishes. After this product is made, there is a lot of waste which is called lac mud, and that is lying in forest like anything, in the outside the industries like anything. We purchase that and then we extract color out of it. So that is also best of the waste. The third is there is a product called Kala Kach, or we call it Katha in India. It is a mouth flavoring product and it is also used in Ayurvedic medicines. After the product is made, there is a product called Kala Katha, which is of no use. And it has been a waste. Little bit of a tanning in the leather tanning industry is happening if they are doing vegetable tanning with it. So we take that product and we extract color out of it. So this is our category of these 3 colors, which we call best of the waste. The second category is a wild collection, where we have products like Myrabalan, we have products like Galnut, and there is a product called Baheda, which is also a natural product. It's widely cultivated in the forest of India. And nobody do anything to it, it cultivates automatically. And then it's fall naturally, and also the plant of Tesu, we call it, it's a flower. They cultivate naturally, and there are a lot of women who collect these products. So their economy level rises, and we use the naturally falling product, which were not cultivated with any efforts. It's happening naturally. So a lot of ladies and a lot of people get employment out of this collection. So this is our second source of collection, where we have wild collections. The third category is where we cultivate something, which is typically the indigo is the largest consuming hair color, textile color that we have. It is also used in hair color, of course. But we do a lot of cultivation of indigo. When we got into the industry as AMA Herbal, it was cultivated on hardly 80, 90 acres in the South India. Today, it is cultivated on more than 15,000 acres. And thanks to the textile industry for their supports, for their larger consumptions of bio-indigo, so that the volumes are increasing. And indigo is such a product, it's a legume nature of a plant. More you cultivate, more it gets benefited for the environment, for the land, for the soil. I have another presentation from my colleague, Mr. Hamza. He's a VP in Sustainable Opportunities in our company on 13th. And I encourage you to see where we will be defining the benefits of indigo cultivation in a larger way. So there, if you see, a lot of benefits are happening to the farmer, and making of 1 kilo of indigo gives 2-day wages to one farmer. So that's a lot of encouragement towards the economy of a farmer. So this is the third category of it. So economy is getting better, so obviously the society gets better. And at the same time, if you see the social impacts of it, we have a charitable extension where we collect, where we have a hospital, we have schools, which are run on a charity, and it's all funded by AMA. We attend more than 10,000 patients every year. So in a way, natural dye as a sustainability is such a model that there are many companies who do this as a CSR activity. And as a CSR activity, when you say, so typically they collect certain funds out of their profits and they give it to some charity. Even if they stop giving charity, nothing will happen to their businesses. But natural dye industry is such that more you consume, more you do charity automatically, because the raw material collection, raw material cultivation happens automatically. So people are going to be benefited without any extra efforts. So natural dye industry and sustainability cannot be separated. They are together and they go together. That's why I say that reactive dye or whatever the things you're seeing as you have seen are climate negative industry, and we are a climate positive industry. Connecting this climate positive to today's negative environment will make your sustainable goals achieved faster. So better salient features of this process, like we have a better color retention in natural dyes, because we have seen that the migration is happening slowly. So evenness is achieved better, settlement is better, and retention is better. And we reduce the use of chemical, we reduce the temperature, the heat energy, and also the damage to the textile is also happening, which is less. And we have been successful in doing jigger dyeing, garment dyeing, soft flow dyeing, all these things. And of course, the rope dyeing is happening with indigo. We have a process where we have developed a process to dye with other natural dyes on rope also. That is also a process in patent. So as a conclusion, cost of processing is a major concern, and heat is a cost. Sustainability of processing is a major concern, and elimination of heat is a sustainable. Carbon footprint is a matter of concern, and carbon footprint elimination is definitely bringing when you're eliminating heat from the processing. So overall, it's a plus process, and then you're doing it with natural dye. So the whole process is sustainable. So I encourage people to use this process and become sustainable. Thank you so much.
So thank you, Mr. Shah. So we've come a full circle. Natural dyes are back in.
Thank you so much.
But with a new sustainable hat on it. Okay, so the floor is open for questions for Mr. Shah.
Excellent. I think natural dyes, we've been hearing about it a lot, but I'm really happy to hear more from you today. Quick question. I mean, you talked about, basically, when you talk about natural dyes, you have to compare them with the existing reactive dyes that you talked about. And as a manufacturer, again, the challenge that I believe, and I would like you to answer on that, is the fastness standards, and especially, you talked about exhaust systems, but for example, people like me who are doing their dyeing on continuous process, what do you think? Would they work? And if they do, what is the actual system that you offer on that part? Thank you.
As far as the fastness is concerned, we have two categories of dye. Three category I can say because indigo is a different category of dye. It cannot be used in the garment dyeing in the exhaust system at all. That's only process possible in the rope dyeing or maybe hand dyeing is possible with that. Yarn dyeing in the in the hang form is also possible. As far as the garment dyeing and the exhaust dyeing is concerned, we have one category where we have four dyes into it. One is from pomegranate, one is from galnet, one is from rubia, and one is this harda. They are robust. And you can achieve easily 3 to 4, even light fastnesses are 4 in some of the cases with our recommended process, even with our auxiliaries. So if you follow that, we have been able to achieve. I invite you to come to our stall, which is in hall number 5, E310. So if you come there, we can explain you, we can show you what we are doing. And of course, as you're doing dyeing, and if you face any problem, we have the ability to modify our processes as per your system. So that's what we have been doing since beginning. So we encourage you to use it. I'm sure you will be satisfied.
I think just one comment on this, that when natural dyes were invented or natural dyes were formed, by default they were supposed to be fugitive, they were supposed to degrade, so they are not supposed to have that kind of light fastness. Sunlight is supposed to fade them. We have taken this to greater heights where we have now light fastness of 7 or 8, that is our maximum demand. We are making something that will never break down. So it's something that we have to think that for clothing, do we need that kind of light fastness? Should we insist on that kind of fastness? Because for every grade of fastness that we ask for, either you need more temperature, you need more water, or you need more unsustainable dyes. So it's just a food for thought. Okay, I think Mr. Pant had one question from there.
Yeah, this is Prasad from ZDHC. Just one question. The estimated volume of synthetic dyes is around 500,000 tons per annum. And with natural dyes, one of the major things is scalability, So what is your opinion on the scalability of natural dyes to sort of replace synthetic dyes, or will they remain like a niche market for the textile industry?
Thank you, Mr. Pant, for a wonderful question. I would like to answer it in two parts. Part number one, we all eat food every day. We all drink milk every day. We all drink tea every day. They are all natural, and they are coming from natural resources, and there is no scarcity of them. So if the demand will increase, the volumes will increase, and the supplies will increase. This is one part. And second, the dyes that we have picked, we have done it in a way that at least the capacities that we are manufacturing will not be a problem. Of course, replacement of synthetic dye, I am very sure it's not possible. And only a portion of it can be replaced to a certain extent. And when the world goes and the demand increases so much that it is a must, then I'm very sure the cultivation and collection will be speeded up in such a way that it is possible. Because in various resources, like we are limited to 8 or 9 dyes because we focus on the availability of dye stuff in a big way. But there are many resources all over the world in rural areas which is not tapped, which are like flowers, which are like barks of the trees, which can be focused onto, and new dye stuff will be coming. So I think the researchers will be focused on these areas, and that will be able to feed the requirements. Thank you so much.
So do we have any more questions? Yes, please.
Jan Marek, Inotex, Czech Republic. You mentioned that you changed the pretreatment of colored fabrics by use of cationization. Can you tell something more about it? What is the system?
Yeah, we use typically the catenizers, and we use it with the soya bean extract. So soya bean is also a natural catenizer. It increases the affinity of cotton yarn towards the natural dyes. And unlike reactive, where if you use catenization, the fastness reduces, in natural dye it doesn't happen that way. Because the bonding is, yes, ionic bonding, but it's done with a different thing, because natural dye is not just having one color content, it is having many color content into the same dye stuff, same powder. So the fixation is better instead of when compared with the reactive dye. So this is what we do.
So just one question. When you say catenization, are the natural dyes electronically charged? Are they negatively charged particles, or?
They are anionic, sir.
They are anionic?
They are anionic in nature.
So that's why the catenization works. Okay, this is very interesting. So do we have any more questions? Yes? Did you have a question? Oh. All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Shah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you.